body, it is actually outside the body, because anything in the intestines are not a part of our body. Only when they enter the blood, we call it as an infection. Okay. When you're talking about the physical barriers, you can see a photograph where people are actually washing their hands. And research says that the action of washing the hands, the physical rubbing, the physical pressure exerted during washing hands or taking bath, has a profound impact on immunity, because that is how you kill the microorganisms, even more than the soap. So sometimes, if you are out, if you have touch something, or if you have shake hands with somebody and you do not have any disinfectants, or if you are not able to wash your hands, make sure that you are rubbing your hands very tightly and very strongly, so that if there is any contamination that has come, it will most likely get killed. Okay. So physical application of force is one of the most important ways by which you can prevent any kind of infection. All right. When you talk about the soaps, you would have seen these kind of ads for disinfectants, for sanitizers, for soaps and
Included.
cleaning, right? If you watch closely, they always mention something like this,
Yes.
that it kills 99.9% of the bacteria, right, or the germs. Have you ever thought what are the left out 0.1%? Are these good bacteria? Are these bad bacteria? Why are these not killed? What will happen if they find a way into our body? Because that is what precisely happens. If you know, then hospital in acquired infection is common causes of death in USA, and it has a huge impact on the economy also.
Even
These are some of the old data that I could find out, and it says that when people are healthy people, they get admitted in the hospital, they get infected, and because of the infection, they die. These are not the people who get infected outside the hospital and go to hospital for treatment. Now, when we talk about a country like USA, you will be thinking that how can it be in USA, because USA has very extreme measures for sanitation, disinfection, and all that. If it were happened when in India, we can say, oh, the doctor might not have washed his hands. Oh, the nurse would not have cleaned everything properly. Maybe they use some already used equipments and surgicals. But when we talk about USA, all those doubts are not there in the mind. Then how come? Then how come that such huge number of people are dying in US because of hospital-borne infection? So here another, the second part of the immunity after the barrier is the microorganisms in our surrounding. When we use disinfectants, 99.9% of the bacteria or the germs get killed, and 0.1% which are left out, they rule the area, they rule the surface, because there is no competition for any food or space. Okay. And when that happens, they are able to grow, they are able to grow in huge numbers. And by any chance, if they find a way into our body, then forget any antibiotics or medication. Even drinking that Dettol or Harpic will not help, because they have already survived it, right? So these microorganisms which survive these environments are extremely powerful, and they are not acted upon any bacteria, I mean any antibodies or antibiotics. The same thing happens when you consume antibiotics also, because when you're consuming antibiotics, it also kills more than 99% bacteria. And for your kind information, antibiotics don't act on viruses or fungus. One of the most common problems humanity is facing today is the fungal infections, right? Precisely the yeast infection that is causing severe problems in our gut. So how these microorganisms actually save us from infection is that when we have a variety of microorganisms around us, they keep fighting with each other for food and space. Okay, and when that happens, none of them become very powerful to enter our body. Even right now, if you see the coronavirus cases across the world, is so huge in numbers, but you will hardly find a farmer getting it. You will not find that every person who has come in contact with a corona patient gets corona infection. In fact, even the family members don't get it most of the time. Why? Probably because the barrier between them and the infected person, there are so many bacteria and viruses and fungus in the environment that they do not allow this coronavirus to travel and become more powerful. Right? So, what happens in the gut sometimes is that biotics, most of the bacteria is destroyed and very few are left. And if you look at the human body is 60% water. Almost we have 10 times more bacteria than our own cells. So you can say that we are actually bacterial soup. It is something like water, tomato, and the spices. We are only the spices part. So these bacteria are always more powerful and have been in this universe before us and with us. So it is absolutely insensible on our part to fight them. In fact, we need to make peace with them. Sometimes it has also been found that these bacteria, when we take antibiotics, the number of bacteria and fungus which are left over, they start creating huge problems. Like the wine fermentation. You all know that sugar in the grape is converted into wine by the action of these microorganisms when there is no air available. Sometimes in our gut, similar kind of things start happening. People consuming sugar, they start producing alcohol. It is a real thing. This is called distillery syndrome. You can actually Google and check it out. That you can keep for later on. So, in some people, there are different types of problems which come up. Instead of sugar, the gluten in the wheat can get converted into certain kinds of drugs, which are morphines. Even the casein, the protein in the milk, gets converted into morphine. These kind of things are very common in autistic children because, again, autism is also most likely a problem which is generated from the gut because of probably antibiotics or some other reason. Also, because of the same reason, sometimes people get into problems like autoimmune diseases because sometimes instead of alcohol, certain compounds which get into the body, our immune system identifies those things as external and our immune system tries to destroy them. When it tries to destroy them, unfortunately, they look very similar to our own organ cells. And while destroying those compounds, our body also starts destroying our own cells. A classic example of this is type 1 diabetes, where our body starts destroying our own pancreatic cells while it is trying to actually destroy undigested milk which gets into our body. Okay? So that is also because of the problem in the gut. Now, it is very important that we do not get into such problems. So, solution number one, have more bacteria around you, variety of bacteria. If you remember in the olden days, and even today, even a lot of villages, you will find that people actually apply cow dung at the in the entrance of the house. Okay, that and then they say that it is a way to keep the diseases away. The whole idea is to increase the variety of bacteria around us. And when you want to do the same thing inside the body, second point you can note it down is fermented foods. Fermented foods which have live bacteria in them are an excellent source of keeping the immune system, this kind of immune system alive, where we have more variety of bacteria. They fight among each other so that none of the bacteria or fungus or virus get more powerful and infect us. So to avoid such infection, we need to have a lot of fermented food. So when you think about this, it also makes sense to introduce your children to the natural environment. Let them play in the mud. Let them have a lot of bacteria around them. Do not use Harpic or such things at home. Instead, you can use certain things like green tea or salt water to mop your floors, or even just plain water is absolutely fine. Coming to the immune system that is inside our body, you don't have to remember the names, just remember the concepts. Okay,
Jana, you will winter.
different types of immune system. Can you mute them, please? So there are two types of immune system. One is the innate and the second is the acquired immune system. To have a basic understanding, innate immune system is something like a war. It doesn't matter who is in front, they just go all out, start using the guns, the missiles, whatever they have, just shoot, da 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 da, and then kill whoever is in front of them. So when you want to talk about the innate immune system, it is basically different types of cells in our body which comprise the innate immune system. And I'm sure you would have seen this when you take the blood reports. Remember that RBC, hemoglobin, and things. Along with that, you will always find something called the WBC, right? And under WBC, there are different types of WBC cells. You don't have to remember the technical names and stuff, just understand the concept, please. Okay. There is something called neutrophils, which are the maximum among WBCs also. Almost 70% of the innate immune system, if you see, is the neutrophils. And that it is very important to understand how food impacts this neutrophil, because it forms almost 40 to 70% of our innate immune system. All right. Now, it has been found that neutrophils actually cannot function without vitamin C. Whenever there is any bacterial infection or cancer cells, these neutrophils cannot travel to the site without the help of vitamin C, which actually helps them to identify and travel to the bacteria. Okay, I will give you a very classic example. You can check out my published papers. Among that, the first case of cancer, which I was able to reverse with diet, the lady was suffering from last stage cancer of cervix. It had spread from the cervix vagina till her oropharyngeal, that is near the mouth. And when we started to make changes in her diet, what we found was that her neutrophils had shot up suddenly, and we were giving her huge quantities of vitamin C in the form of gooseberries, in the form of lemons, in the form of green leafy vegetables, and so on. And after 10 months, without any medication, without any therapy, only with diet, we were able to show that her cancer had reduced from stage 4 to stage 3. Okay, and I am very, very sure that vitamin C played a major role in the entire remission. Okay, so you will always find, whenever they talk about immune system, they'll always tell you that you must consume vitamin C foods. Or whenever you see the list of foods, you will find that vitamin C foods are a part of that list. It is majorly because neutrophils cannot act without vitamin C. Another very interesting part about neutrophils is that if neutrophils see a bacteria in front of them, or cancer cell for that matter, or if they find a sugar molecule in front of them, they will prefer the sugar molecule. They will prefer glucose over bacteria or cancer. So if you consume anything that is rich in sugar, very rich in carbohydrates, very sweet, then it will make your immune system sleep for 6 hours. Another classic example of this would be, I had a patient who was suffering from liver cirrhosis, that is end stage liver failure disease. Okay, we were trying to revive his liver with diet, and While doing that, we had cut down his sugar levels to a great level. I mean, refined sugar was completely eliminated. Even whole grains were controlled. One day in the morning, early morning, he was from Haryana. One day, early morning, his wife gave him some prasad. And after consuming that sweet, the prasad was actually a kaju katli, it's a Indian sweet. When he consumed that, he started feeling very suffocated in half an hour. In 2 hours, he had fever, and by the afternoon, he was admitted in the hospital in the ICU. Unfortunately, he could never come back from that ICU because his liver had failed. Now, in people like him, the impact is seen very, very quickly and very sharply because their immune system is already at its weakest point. Okay. In our case, if we eat a muffin, if we eat a cookie, if we eat a bread, if we eat a kaju katli, it will not show the impact in such a profound way, but it will still have an impact on our immune system. You can also relate this to children who take a lot of chocolates or who take a lot of soda, who take a lot of sweets, noodles, etc., which are very rich in sugar. You will find that they get more running nose frequently. They get cold and cough very frequently, and sometimes they even suffer from fever very frequently. Also, diabetics are at a very high risk of getting infections, and you will find that WHO has given a clear instruction to the world that diabetics are at a higher risk for getting coronavirus. So you can now understand why sugar actually reduces your immune power and makes your immune system to go to sleep. So two important factors in diet. Number one, vitamin C rich foods. It is so powerful that there are studies which show that vitamin C injections can fight cancers. They are probably sometimes more powerful than even chemotherapy. Point number two, that you should definitely cut down on sugar completely. Okay? So these are two most important things as far as neutrophils are concerned and the innate immune system is concerned. Second type of immunity that we discussed was adaptive immunity. This is, as the name says, we adapt to this immunity. Okay. If you look at this picture, you will find that these children who are playing are surrounded by huge number and variety of bacteria and viruses. Right. Now, when children come in contact with such organisms, our body tries to prepare us from saving from these infections by producing something called antibodies. Okay? Again, don't go by the names. It may sound a little tough and technical, but it is not required. Just the concept is important. So when our bodies are preparing antibodies against these bacteria and viruses, sometimes the same antibody works for different viruses and different bacteria which have similar structures, which means that if we have one antibody, we are actually saving our body from multiple kind of infections. The same thing is done by vaccines also. And we are talking about vaccine against coronavirus. Basically, what we are trying to say is a part of the coronavirus or a dead coronavirus is injected into our body so that our body identifies this virus as external and has all the machinery inside our body ready to fight these infections. And that is also one of the reasons why sometimes they are trying to find the blood of coronavirus survivors to treat the infected patients. Okay, that is majorly because the blood may contain antibodies against these viruses. But in this case also you need to understand that when we talk about vaccines, number one, it does not actually work as a medicine. Okay, it is more of the preventive thing that if we get vaccines, we will produce antibodies, which our body is able to fight the bacteria or virus even before they infect us. Okay. When we talk about vaccines, point number two is that ultimately vaccines also prompt our immune system. Okay. They don't act on the virus directly. It is not a medicine. So they prompt our immune systems to fight the virus. So it is important that we take care of our immune system and support the immune system so that things do not go out. To give you another example, how powerful the diet aspect is on fighting infections, one patient, basically a very close friend's father from Kolkata, one day reached out to me, and he had come to Chennai for his treatment because he was infected. He had fever for the last 15 days, and when he came to Chennai for treatment, they did a lot of testing, but they said the result will come after 8 days, and medication can start only after that. Now, they couldn't wait there, so the entire family went back to Kolkata. And my friend called me that, Nikhil, is there anything we can do on the food front? So what we basically did was we actually worked out some diet plan for him where we cut down on most of the carbohydrates like white rice, like, milk, and sugars, everything. And we gave him a lot of lemons, almost about 15 lemons per day, a lot of gooseberries, a lot of green leafy vegetables, and also a lot of herbs and spices. Okay, and a little lifestyle changes for which we'll discuss a little later. After 2 days, I called up to check with her how is her father, and she told me that her father started going to the office the previous day itself, meaning that he had got well in a single day. So basically, we could provide all the necessary nutrients that were required for his immunity to fight back, and also stopped all the other food materials which were actually weakening his immune system. And after 8 days, when his reports came, they were positive for infection. But fortunately, he didn't start antibiotics or any medication. He got his test repeated, and bingo, after 8 days, there was no infection. So it is always good to work on your immune system, whether or not you take help of vaccines or medication. As we have already discussed, the first line of defense is the physical barrier, which includes the skin. But apart from the skin, there are other things like hair that rolls down from your eyes, and then we have a lot of sweat. Also, if you look at the picture, you'll find that there's a lot of mucus lining inside our body, which deals with the external agents like the stomach and the intestine. Now, you will always find that the organs which are exposed to the outer environment are acidic in nature. For example, the stomach is very acidic, the vagina is very acidic, because most of the inside of our body is actually alkaline, non-acidic in nature, which means that any bacteria that will get into our body will have to first go through the acidic environment, only then they will be able to get into the alkaline environment. So there are very, very few microorganisms. I don't think there are any microorganisms, but still, I'll say that there are very few microorganisms which can actually survive such extreme pH levels, because the stomach acid is so powerful that it can actually melt even metals. Whereas our intestines are so alkaline, it's highly alkaline. Okay. Same thing with the vagina. Vagina is also very, very acidic. If you look at the urine was actually used up to First World War to disinfect all the utensils and surgicals before a surgery. And it is very unfortunate that we have actually assaulted our body so much by wrong food and junk food and sugary food that even like it is a very common thing to get urinal infections these days. Okay? So it all boils down to mostly our kind of food and the environment we are creating for ourselves. Okay? Yeah. So important thing to learn from here is if you are taking anything like very strong antacids, okay, then it will dilute the stomach acid and it will be an opportunity for the bacteria to survive this environment. Same thing with the vagina. If you are creating any alkaline environment in the vagina, and also if there is a lot of sugar, or if you're not cleaning the vagina, or sometimes even because of um, usage of things like condoms, which has got a lot of sweet flavors or something, there is a chance that it can cause infections. Okay, so please avoid any such things, especially antacids. The next most important thing in the immune system fight is the stress. It is not going to be a philosophical talk. We are talking pure science, and it is important to understand how stress works on the immune system. Just imagine that there is a fire in your building and somebody starts shouting, "Fire, fire, fire." Will you still be sitting and listening to my talk? Absolutely no, right? Because the stress has kicked in. The hormones in your brain says that there is some environment which is very risky and I need to get out of it. At this point, the body will function in such a way that you need a lot of energy. Either you need to fight the danger or you need to run away from the danger. That is why it is called the fight or flight syndrome, the flight or flight response. So when you need a lot of energy, the liver will push in a lot of sugar in your blood. Okay, your heart will beat faster because it needs to pump blood continuously. Your lungs will deep breathe because you need more oxygen. Your eyes will get dilated because you need to be able to see a little further down. All those things will start happening. But along with this, also the body will try to conserve energy, okay, from digestion, from immune system and things like that. It will be like if you survive this danger, only then there is the use of digesting that food. Or if you survive this danger, only then there is a point of fighting the infection. If your body is still trying to fight the infection now and it doesn't fight the danger in front of it, if it doesn't run away from the fire, or if it doesn't fight the tiger in front of you, then the tiger will eat you, or you might get engulfed in the fire, which is not a good idea for the body and it doesn't help the body survive. So, the body always shuts down the immune system whenever you are under stress. But stress is important, okay? And it should be short lived. It should be like a zebra. When a tiger is following the zebra, it is running, running for its life. But when the tiger is not there, immediately it cools down and it starts grazing, playing around. But for us, the problem is the stress is never off. We are continuously under stress. As soon as we wake up, oh shit, I'm late. Oh my god, I need to run to the office. Oh my god, I have a call to attend. I need to drop the children to school. I need to cook. I need to do this. I need to do that. From that to your deadlines, to your bill payments, to your job security, uh, your financial security, everything is a stress. Okay, so because of which it is impacting your immune system and you will not be able to fight that bacteria or viruses. The point is, if stress is so dangerous, then how do we actually fight the stress, or how do we eliminate the stress? Before we get into the lifestyle things, let's first talk about the food. There are certain food items which actually put stress on your body. The most common ones are the tea and coffee, which create an artificial stress. Okay, that means that when you drink a coffee, it actually puts your system in stress, and you feel very energetic. You feel very active, very sharp, right? Even though you have not had your lunch, a cup of coffee will do that for you. And when that entire energy weans off, when the energy levels dip, then your body asks for one more coffee. So basically, what we are doing is we are actually programming our body to live in stress. So please avoid tea and coffee. Instead, hydrate your body, drink a lot of water, a lot of food, don't stay hungry. That will actually solve the problem. Second food that creates a lot of stress is any food which raises your blood sugar. When you eat something that raises your blood sugar or drink something that raises your blood sugar, it could be any refined food, any processed food. Okay? Then our body has to produce certain hormones so that it can actually park that entire sugar. And once that happens, our body starts feeling hungry again. You would have seen people who feel very hungry very quickly. Okay, I'm not getting too much into details, but when you feel very hungry, when you feel low, when your sugar levels dip down after eating a meal rich in sugar, when ultimately they dip down after some time, at that time we start feeling stressed. Okay, and you have seen in the movies that beautiful heroine, that actress who will be sobbing and then eating an ice cream. It's called stress based eating, right? So whenever there is a dip in energy, whenever we are stressed, we tend to go towards comfort food, which actually makes us feel really nice. But the problem is they create a cycle of stress again and again. Comforting, then stress, comforting, then stress, comforting, then stress. You need to break this cycle. So it is a good idea to avoid all those ice creams, all those shakes, those colas that raise your blood sugar drastically. Okay? Another very big stressor is the fat in the tummy region, especially. It has been found that the fatty cells, they actually prevent our immune system from producing those antibodies very effectively. So if you have a lot of fat in your body, chances are that you will not be able to fight infections so effectively. It's a good idea to lose fat, okay, and gain muscles. Next important aspect is the sleep. Of course, sleep and stress are related, but even otherwise, it has been found that people who are deprived of sleep, okay, they have very poor response to flu vaccines also. Okay, they are not able to produce antibodies. They also find that some of the immune cells are not produced in proper quantities, and whichever are present, they are also not able to act properly. And it makes any person who is not sleeping properly has a higher chance of getting infected. Also, sleep is very important for our liver to rejuvenate. Liver is an amazing organ which has 500 different functions and supports the immune system in many different ways. So if you're not sleeping properly, then your liver will also get affected. Okay. In fact, I see that a lot of people who work in night shift, they have a lot of liver problems, especially fatty liver. Okay? So one of the ways by which you can actually improve on your sleep is by getting physically tired. Okay? To get physically tired, it's an excellent way to do that is to exercise, especially in the evening. That will also, you know, relieve you of all the mental stress that you have. Because when you're focusing on exercise, you'll forget everything that is bothering you inside your head. So if sometimes you are not getting sleep, then please understand that there can be two reasons. Number one, you have eaten too much of high energy food, especially in dinner, which your body has not been able to burn. Number two, you are not enough physically tired, so the body does not want rest. Okay? So these are the two things which you need to look after for sleep. Whenever we talk about any physical immune response, the first thing that comes whenever a person gets infected is fever. Fever is something where our body temperature increases because these bacteria, viruses, they are very vulnerable to high temperatures. So some of the things you should do to fight infection is number one, vitamin D that you get from the sun. Also, it increases the temperature of your body. So taking sun bath is an excellent way to fight infections. And for some other reason beyond the scope of this talk, Vitamin D is actually very highly anti-cancerous to the extent that women who take 20 minutes of sunbath every day, okay, if every woman takes 20 minutes of sunbath every day, 60% of breast cancer will never happen. That's profound, that's huge. If there was a medicine that could do that, it would be a multi-billion dollar drug today. 60% of breast cancer will never happen, and it has the similar impact. There has not been any study, but similar impact on other cancers also. Okay, as far as infections are concerned, 20 minutes of sun bath is damn important for everybody. Maximum exposure of the skin is also necessary. If you are not able to, especially ladies, if you are not able to find any space where you can do that, because there's a lot of taboo in India, I would suggest that you can actually wear something like a sari, where you can expose your tummy regions, your chest, your neck, your back, and also your legs. Okay. For men, it is a lot easier where you can wear shorts and just lie down in your balcony or your terrace. Okay. But it is very, very important that you take sun bath. In fact, me and my family always plan our holidays, trips for sunbathing. We always choose a destination where we get enough sunlight. So our last trip was to Hampi, and we actually enjoyed the sunbathing. So I request you also to do that. Second thing you can do for increasing the temperature of your body is steam sauna and hot water baths. So it has been found that if you are able to take hot water bath where you can tolerate as much high temperature as you can, it has shown to even act on cancer cells. Especially viruses are very, very vulnerable to temperature. Very, very vulnerable. So anything like corona and all, or most of the viral infections, you will find that they begin always in the winter season. Okay, so it is very powerful, and you must do it. So hot water baths are excellent. Steam sauna, if you can get access to it, very good. And if you add something like magnesium sulfate in your hot water bath and you dip yourself, it also has an amazing de-stressing effect. That means it will release your stress. And it is the same thing which is used in most of the spas as bath salt. Okay? It is magnesium sulfate, widely available, also called Epsom salt, and it can also be found in wholesale markets in loose. You need not go for the product which is used in labs. It is openly available and very cheap also. In fact, about only $100 per kg. Okay, these are things which will help you increase your temperature. Now, some other things which will help you beat the stress is, apart from exercise and outdoor running, you can practice other things like yoga, okay, or even dancing. Meditation is an excellent way, especially breathing. If time permits, I will show you some tricks. But I'm sure that all of you know certain ways of meditating that will definitely help you de-stress yourself. Another very important thing what you can do to de-stress yourself is you can write down all the things that are stressing you out and then apply the 4D technique. The 4Ds are delete, delegate, delay, and do it. Anything in that list, if it is not important, then you can just delete it from your life. Okay, the more work you have, the more stress you will have. So it is very important that we delete most of the things that are not important, and you'll find that most of the things we do every day are actually not important to be done. Okay. Second thing is the delegate part, which you can do very easily. For example, if you want to drive, if you want to cook, if you want to clean the house, if you want to pay the electricity bills, all these things can be delegated to either a person or an app. Okay, delegation is become very easy, and it will actually save time, money, make you more efficient. You will start earning more money because your efficiency has gone up. And I'm sure that as project management experts, you know the importance of delegation. Okay. Third thing is the delay part. The delay part is some things which you are doing are not urgent and can wait. For example, checking your emails every 15 minutes or replying to WhatsApp every 2 minutes, checking your notifications every 2 minutes. These things can be delayed. You can check your emails, WhatsApp notifications once in 6 hours. It will not have any impact on your work. It will not have any impact on your efficiency. Other things which can be delayed are like washing clothes. You need not wash your clothes every day. You can do it once in a week. Okay. So there are a lot of things that can be delayed. It will actually reduce your workload. And the last one is do it. If anything that cannot be deleted is important, it cannot be delegated, has to be done by you only, and cannot be delayed because it is urgent, then just do with it and finish it off. Okay, it will be a huge burden release from your head. So these are the 4D techniques for de-stressing yourself, and it can be applied to every work that you do. So it's important that you journal about them. Okay. The next thing is to drink some herbal teas. Okay, this does not include your caffeine or nicotine and things like that. Smoking also actually, in fact, impacts the body because it puts in artificial stress, just like coffee or tea. Okay, or maybe more. So these teas are basically herbal teas, majorly like flowers like chamomile or herbs like mint and holy basil and stuff like that. Okay, Epsom salt we have already discussed, and sleep we have already discussed. So these are some easy way to beat the stress. Okay. Water, or for that matter, liquids. You will find that especially with coronavirus or especially with any virus, okay, the only way to fight the viruses is to drink a lot of liquids. Okay. If you want to prevent yourself from getting corona, if you want to treat yourself from any viral infections, mark my words, drink a lot of liquids. Okay, maybe around 7 to 8 liters every day. Even the patients who are admitted in the hospitals, the major line of treatment is nothing but intravenous fluid. They give saline water or glucose to the intravenous portal. That is your from the outside in the tube. Okay, it will be a good idea that we keep drinking a lot of liquids. And as I'm talking to you, I'm actually drinking chamomile tea. Okay, so avoid RO water because RO water does not have any minerals or vitamins and it will dilute your body. Okay. If you say that your body has X amount of minerals, drinking RO water will actually dilute the body and we will have less than X amount of minerals. Okay. And if you look at all the natural sources, whether they are rivers, whether they are ponds, whether they are lakes, whether they are well water or any other source, they have a lot of minerals, lot of minerals. Okay. So an excellent way to do that is if you have RO filter in your house, then you can actually create infused water by adding some fruits and vegetables like mint, lemon, strawberries, blackberries, or oranges, cucumbers, and stuff. Okay. It will actually pull in a lot of minerals and vitamins from the fruits and vegetables into the water. Another excellent thing to do is if you have only filter, it's great. Use filtered water provided you know that there are no toxic chemicals in the source water. Okay. And third thing you can do is you can mineralize your water. There are certain brands like Bisleri which provide mineral water. Other ways of doing it is we are able to now procure certain capsules, okay, which has some balls in it. You can put it in your filter and slowly it will keep mineralizing the water. You can also add minerals like soda and magnesium sulfate in the water, RO water, to mineralize it. So in about 30 liters can, 1 spoon of soda and 1 spoon of magnesium sulfate will do the trick for you. Okay. Apart from water, other things that you can consume include herbal teas. You can have turmeric water. You can have lemon water. You can have green leafy vegetable juices and smoothies. Avoid fruit juices, avoid milk, avoid tea, coffee, avoid colas, avoid all the beverages, alcohol. Go for natural fermented drinks. Go for all these things which have zero sugar and a lot of nutrients. Okay. Some of the lifestyle changes, out of which some we have already discussed, to increase the variety of bacteria around you, you can do certain activities like gardening, walking bare feet, having a pet, creating manure at home, and gardening in your terrace, in your balconies, and so on. Okay. Second thing is, let your kids play in the mud. It's okay even if they eat some of it. Okay, it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Second point is sun bath. I cannot stress more on this. It is very, very important. Third thing is hot water bath every day, preferably just before sleeping. Okay. Steam and sauna, if available, at least once in a while you can do that. Rub your hands and scrub your body while taking bath. That has a very strong impact on eliminating bacteria from your body. Avoid any physical injury because that will create an opening for a lot of bacteria and viruses into your body. This also includes injury in your intestinal and other linings of the organs like stomach. Okay? So please make sure that you do not do that. Sometimes people even get injured in their throat or mouth or in the food pipe because they are gulping down big pieces of food. So please, please, please chew your food very well. Okay. To de-stress yourself, laugh a lot. Laughing is an excellent way to de-stress yourself. Meditate, exercise, yoga, sleep. Show gratitude because that also makes you feel good. Forgive and appreciate people. And the 4D technique: delete, delay, delegate, and do your work. I'm giving you some dietary guidelines, but please do not mistake this to be the Bible. I will always want you to create your own customized menu. Okay. Topping the list is vegetables and salads, a very rich source of fiber and vitamin C. Fiber is important because it promotes the growth of healthy bacteria in our gut. The more the healthy bacteria, the less the chances of infection. Okay. So fiber is very, very important, and fiber can be got majorly from vegetables, sprouts, and then fruit. Okay. Second is lemons and gooseberries, which are very rich in vitamin C. Whole grains. Avoid all the refined grains because they are very rich in sugar. Whole grains are low in sugar. It will not raise your blood sugar instantly and also provide you with a lot of fiber, minerals, and vitamins. Green tea and herbal teas, they are excellent sources and also a lot of liquid. Sprouts, because they contain a lot of fiber that promote good bacteria in the gut. Okay. Also gives you protein, which is important for the immune system to build up new cells and antibodies. Okay. And it is good that you take it from the sprouts, not from non-vegetarian sources, because most of the non-vegetarian sources today have huge quantity of hormones, antibiotics, and painkillers. So some of the things like 90% of the antibiotic is actually used in animal husbandry, and we know that antibiotics are not good. Painkillers are also very dangerous because it will blow up your kidneys, and you will find that there are no vultures left anymore in India. It is majorly because of these painkillers used in animal industry that led to kidney failure of these vultures, and it has become almost extinct now. Spices. My wife got typhoid twice, and all I did was gave her a lot of lemons, salads, and spices, no other food, and gave her a lot of liquids, and she was all right in just 3 days. Okay? So Indian spices are very powerful. Consume them in large quantities as much as you can tolerate, provided you are not pregnant, you are not trying to conceive, and you do not have any condition where it is intolerable like acidity or stuff. You'll have to prep your body for that. But spices are really good. Don't fry them, don't heat them or roast them. Use them by minimum temperature. Of course, you can boil them, but nothing else. Herbs as much as you can consume because herbs and spices are small packets of very high content of minerals and vitamins. Okay, and these all act as enzymes and coenzymes in the body to fight the infection. Fermented food again increase the variety of bacteria in our body. Some of the fermented food includes curds, all the pickles. Okay, all the pickles are fermented. Sauerkraut is actually cabbage, fermented cabbage, which is also a type of brine fermentation. BRINE, brine fermentation, where fermentation is done by salt water. Kanji is an excellent Indian drink made with salt and black mustard seeds. So it is a very tasty, very easy to prepare. It is ready in 24 hours. So you can drink a lot of kanji. Okay? It will also help people who have constipation issues. Mineral water and a lot of liquids. Avoid sugar and all processed foods. Avoid all juices and drinks. Avoid alcohol. But the whole idea is that you need to customize your own menu every single day. Be very careful about whatever you are buying whenever you're preparing your grocery list. And trust me, anything that comes in a packet will always have sugar in it. So please avoid anything that comes in a packet. Thank you so much. I am open to questions now. So I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have.
Thank you, Nikhil. That was a wonderful session. I guess the participants can share their questions in chat. That will be much more advantageous.
You can have it over the mic also. I mean, over the talk also.
Okay, we might have a crosstalk.
No, I will unmute all. Suma.
So the one question that has come in the chats is that what is the best time for sunbath? So generally it is from 10 to 1, but in India being very close to the equator, especially the southern region, you can have it from 8:30 to 1. And if you're not used to taking sunbath, I would suggest that you start with only 3 to 5 minutes per day. Second question is any help by intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is a very big subject in its own, but just to give you some important tips on that, intermittent fasting definitely helps in fighting certain types of diseases like cancer. It may help to a certain extent in infections, but if you have conditions like diabetes or fat, obesity and stuff like that, but it is more important that what are you eating when you are breaking your fast. Okay, if you are eating something like, let's say, bread, then there's no point of doing intermittent fasting. And if people are actually consuming, let's say, junk food and then doing intermittent fast, then it can have a very negative impact on their health, especially the gallbladder. Okay? Also, I would not suggest intermittent fasting for people who have acidity issues and constipation issues. You need to be careful about intermittent fasting. People who are very thin can have a heart attack if they're skipping their meals or doing intermittent fasting. So it's an overall thing, it's a huge topic to be discussed. Does EGG help in building immunity? Egg. Oh, sorry, does egg? Yeah, sir. Venkat sir, you're saying something.
No, this is Bharat speaking. I have one question. You have been talking about not using sugar for our diet every day. What is your take on usage of jaggery instead of sugar, and what should be the quantity of intake approximately?
Okay.
And thank you for the session. It was very informative.
Okay. So basically anything that raises sugar, okay, even jaggery will raise sugar, uh, but it has certain minerals and vitamins. So we can say that if sugar is damaging 100%, jaggery will damage 70%. Okay? But it is still not healthy. You can. The question is which is unhealthier. Okay. So if you are shifting from sugar to jaggery, you are taking a good step towards the good, but ultimately you must give up on jaggery also. Okay. in nature, the sweetest food is only fruits. Okay. I also suggest that instead of taking any sweeteners, for that matter, jaggery or sugar, it is advisable you stick only maximum with fruit.
So there is question about what is the ideal weight in centimeter, height in centimeters. There is one question from Jay here, Nikhil. What is the ideal weight and height in centimeters?
So there is nothing like ideal weight. There are certain things where we say about the BMI and stuff, but it is not even the BMI so much, because a person who has got a lot of muscles will also be categorized as obese. And frankly speaking, having fat is not bad, okay, but having a tummy is bad. There are certain people who are very thin and have a very huge tummy, which is very unhealthy. There are also people who have fat distributed evenly in the entire body. They have very thick hands and legs also. That is actually very healthy. Okay? And that depends on the type of fat you have been consuming, or the type of fat that is built up in the body. Don't I never personally believe in numbers. I never say that you should focus on the number to reach an ideal weight or a particular number in kgs, but I will suggest that you focus on the process. If you focus on the process of eating natural food, you will reach that number automatically. But if you focus only on that number, let's say you are saying that I want to get to 65 kgs, then what will happen is once you reach 65 kgs, you will not be able to follow anything that you have been following. And then you will reach to 90, which is not good. So let's not focus on the numbers, but let's focus on the process. Eat very healthy food, do a lot of exercise, meditate, laugh a lot, and things like that.
Okay, well, you're saying something about egg and also your take on
Somebody
artificial
called
sweetness.
Funny. Funny has actually asked that does egg help in building immunity? So again, as I spoke about the non-vegetarian food, even egg has to be from the organic source. Okay. Also, always keep in mind that there is nothing like one particular food that will build your immunity or weaken your immunity. It is always the overall food that you are eating. Okay. So if you are eating egg and then if you are eating white rice, then definitely it will not help your immunity. But if you're eating a lot of, let's say, green leafy vegetables, and then you're eating a lot of gooseberries, doing exercise, and then eating egg, then it will be really helpful.
What about honey? Honey, can we take honey?
Yeah, that question has come from Jay also. So, honey is basically sugar called fructose, which comes from majorly fruits. Okay, fruit plus sugar, and fruit plus glucose. You can remember is that fructose. Okay. Now, fructose cannot be used by the body, and it has to be converted into glucose. That work is again done by the liver. And most people, almost more than 80% people have a lot of problems in the liver today. Okay, like fatty liver is a very common problem, and even those who don't have fatty liver, their liver is not as healthy as it should be. So when you consume honey, then it will actually create a lot of stress on your liver. Okay. Second point in honey is that if you see honey, like if there is one tree and there are let's say about four honeycombs, and you extract honey from each one of this, you'll find that the color of honey in each of them is different. But if you buy honey in, let's say, Hyderabad, and if you buy honey in Assam, okay, you'll find that the color of the honey is the same. So most of the honey that we are getting today in the market is not actual honey also. Okay? The last point in honey is that in olden days, during Ayurvedic times, honey was widely used. And even today, a lot of Ayurvedic doctors and self-made healers, they prescribe honey with lemon and stuff like that, right? So honey, if you look at 5,000 years back, most of the diseases were diseases of weakness. People getting diarrhea, loose motions, or getting infected. They didn't have much food. They didn't have access to food like we have today. Okay, you open the fridge and you start eating. It's not like that. So at that time, most of the diseases were diseases of weakness. And honey would be an excellent thing because it would give a lot of strength. But today, most of us, at least everybody on this call and their family members and friends, that is not the problem. We are all suffering from diseases of overeating. Correct? So honey is a big no, sir.
Nikhil, we had another question. Hot pickles like mango pickle that's preserved for a year or so, how good are they?
They're excellent. Pickles are really, really excellent. And I'll be happy if you can share some of it with me also. And,
Okay, that was from Vishnu. I look forward to that as well.
Vishnu,
Right.
just to give you an example, I told you about the part of bacteria they play in our gut, right? You'll be surprised that these bacteria produce happiness hormones, and it is an excellent way to treat depression also. I have treated autism in one case, one child, and depression in a couple of people by giving them a lot of pickles, only pickles. Okay, but certain things you need to take care when you are making pickles is number one, you should not add so much salt that there is no growth of bacteria at all. Okay,
Okay.
a lot of people they confuse pickles with salt. It is not only salt; it is basically allowing controlled growth of good bacteria. Okay, one of the best things you can do is you can actually have brine pickles. Brine. Brine is nothing but salt water. Brine pickles are really excellent and they allow the growth of healthy bacteria in a controlled manner. Okay. Even the pickles which we are having, like the oil-based pickles and all the other pickles that we make at home, if you can make those pickles with less salt, you will find that when we put it for pickling and after about 15-20 days, the pickle undergoes changes in taste. Okay, it becomes a little sour. That sourness is because of the action of these bacteria. Okay, and how that is preserved for a year. So there was an archaeological site where archaeologists found some pickle in a crock in Japan. They found that the pickle was edible, and when they tried to analyze the date, that they found that it was 350 years old.
Wow. But what about the chili powder in that? Is it harmful or helpful?
Sorry.
The chili powder in the pickle, is it harmful or helpful?
Powder is okay, but I am a big fan of green chilies. Green chili has more vitamin C than your lemons also. Okay. And in fact, before the fridge and preservation techniques came into picture, earlier pickling was the only way we could store our food. Okay.
Mhm.
If there was a drought in Rajasthan, if it started raining in Cherrapunji, or if it started snowing in Mount Everest, then the only way people could survive was through pickles. Every single tribe in the world, every single geographical region in the world have their own pickles. In, in Northeast India alone, there are 750,000 varieties of pickles. They pickle everything from your, what do we say, mangoes to your grasshoppers, everything. Okay, and that is the whole reason that earlier laborers were given salt at the end of the day, and that is how the word salary came into being. Okay, salary comes from the word salt.
That's interesting. Sure. Nikhil, we have a question about what foods to avoid or eat for acidity or to reduce acidity.
So acidity has a lot of triggers and lot of causes, Sunanda. I'm happy to share that I've just completed my book on how to reverse acidity by food, and it will most likely be converted into a video course also very soon, probably before the lockdown. So we need to basically identify what the triggers are. And but one thing very important with acidity is two things very important with acidity is if it is because of indigestion, then you need to take fermented food, especially curd, that will help in digestion. Second thing is you should not skip your meals. These are two very healthy and important tips that I can give you. For long-term management and avoiding acidity, there are a lot of things which you need to do.
Yeah. Thank you, Nikhil. I look forward to that video and the book that you're going to release.
I'll share it with you, Suma, so that you can share the link with everybody.
Thank you,
Hi,
Nikhil.
Nikhil. Hi, Nikhil. You told about using minerals or artificially adding the minerals to the RO water that we have been drinking every day. So, and you also told about usage of certain tablets that are available in market. Do you recommend any particular brands which are good to
I
use?
was not talking about tablets. It was basically that lot of filters that have come up. They have something like they call it a capsule. Okay, it is not actually a tablet. It is not a medicine. It is actually a device in which they fill in some mineral balls. Okay, and it will keep releasing whenever the water goes in. It will keep releasing very little quantity of those minerals in the water. Okay, so for example, one of the things is your Havels has got some, I think, Max Pro. That is one of the filters where they use capsules, but there are a lot of filters in the market. Apart from that, you can use 1 teaspoon of magnesium sulfate and 1 teaspoon of soda, okay, in
For
30 liters of water. So
30 liters
everyone,
of water. So we see that in these RO filters we have this TDS setting. So if we increase the TDS setting to let's say around 100 or 120 ppm, so does that serve the purpose of having the requisite amount of
most likely yes. Most
minerals?
likely yes.
So what would be the recommended range you would say? I have seen and I have done a lot of research while purchasing my RO system. Many people say differently. There are a lot of answers on Quora and many other places. But what is that you recommend and why? The values of ppm.
I would always recommend the more the better. Okay, but it also depends on the constituent of the water. For example, if you are living in an area where the salt content is very high, like the natural salt, that needs to be reduced. If you are taking water from the well, and if there is, let's say, lead and mercury, then definitely you cannot use that water with, with a high TDS. You will have to bring it down to the minimum TDS possible, and then you will have to externally add the salt. But if the water is very good in quality that you are getting, the source water which you are getting, if it is very good quality, there are no such toxic chemicals and nothing bad about it, then you need not even filter it. Okay,
Yeah.
so a
So
lot
we
of you
apart
see a
so
lot of you need to understand that a lot of products are being sold in the market in the name of the hygiene theory that we need to kill the bacteria, we need to eliminate the bacteria. If you look at RO filters, they are coming up with a lot of UV radiation because it kills bacteria and so on, right? So this entire funda of killing the bacteria is stupid. The more bacteria, the more variety of bacteria you have, the better it is. In fact, when I travel to any place outside Hyderabad, I always ensure that I'm not drinking the RO water. I will always go to a restaurant, I'll take I'll take the normal water. If I'm going to some place where the pollution is not very high, I will go and drink the water directly from the river or from the this thing from the waterfall or something like that.
Nikhil, we have a question about the difference between cooking soda and baking soda. Which soda are we talking about when we talked about mineralizing
There
water?
is something called the natural soda, that is sodium bicarbonate. That is what I'm talking about. Sometimes in the baking soda they add corn flour. I'm not talking about that.
Lakshmi Narayana, does that answer your question?
A lot of
Hey, hi,
people are
Nikhil.
thanking me. I will also be very happy if you could just go to my LinkedIn profile and connect with me and leave a recommendation. That is something I'm looking
I will paste your LinkedIn profile here, Nikhil. at the end of the session. So, any other questions?
Hello, is there a
One
recorded video available? Or
Yes, it's going to be made available. And in fact, even before that, what I would request all the participants is write to us regarding your experience as well as your questions so that we can understand more. Right now, in the participants list, I find some, I do not find the actual names. So I do not have a list of participants to whom we can reach out to. So please write to us at the office ID, office@pmi-ecc.org, so that we can give you the right questions. We can connect back to you with more information from Nikhil as well. Okay, Nikhil, one more question we have on the chat box. Ghee, butter, cheese, which one is good for health? Wow.
So ghee and butter are okay. Coconut oil is also okay. These three things can be used for cooking purpose. Every oil, every fat has got a smoking temperature. It is a temperature beyond which it gets rancid. It becomes carcinogenic. It causes cancer. Okay. So it is not advisable to heat any of the fats, either it is oil or in any form. It is not advisable to heat any of these beyond a temperature. So for cooking, use ghee, butter, and coconut oil. But for all the other things, use cold pressed oils. And that cannot be used for cooking. It has to be used only for dressing purpose. Fat is very, very important because 80% of your brain and nervous system is fat. All your cells have membranes which are fat, and all the organs are supported and surrounded by fat as a cushion. Okay, so if you are consuming good quality fat, then your nervous system will be good, your cells will be healthy, and your organs will be safe. But at the same time, if you are consuming, let's say, fried food or roasted seeds, then I'm sure you understand the implication on the nervous system, your brain, your cells, and your organs. It will all get fried up. Cheese, I will suggest that yes, you can take cheese, but the problem with cheese is nowadays cheese is all made in a very controlled environment with controlled yeast and stuff, but not natural cheese. So natural cheese is hard to get, but if you get once in a while, you can have cheese.
We have one more question, Nikhil. What's the way to manage IBS?
Way to manage IBS.
Yes.
So irritable bowel syndrome is a big problem, but first thing first, anything that irritates your IBS should be stopped for the time being. You can go on a 1 or 2 days fasting, let it rest, and then slowly start introducing food. Also include a lot of cold pressed oils, um, probably even castor oil, and do a lot of exercise that will strengthen your muscles of the gut also. Okay, but it is a very tricky and a very difficult thing. Also understand that the gut and the brain are interrelated. The number of neurons around our gut is equal to the number of neurons we have in our brain. And that is why the gut is called as the second brain. Okay? If you are constipated or if you have IBS, you will get stressed. If you hear any shocking news, then you might have loose motions as well. Okay? So it is a two-way process. Any kind of stress will lead to IBS also. It can irritate your IBS. So you need to eliminate the stress, eliminate all the triggers, and slowly start healing it. But it's a long process.
Okay.
Tinku Lakshmi Narayan has said that I drank Niagara Falls water when I went visiting there. Everybody yelling on me. You were taking away their sources, valuable sources.
Yeah.
All right. Friends, are there any more questions? The last few minutes. All right. Anantaram asking, how do you take castor oil?
Again, depends on what dosage you can tolerate, but most people take castor oil after the dinner. So 1 spoon and they just drink it up. It will be a little difficult, but yes, that is how people do.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you for that compliment.
All right.
Any other questions?
We still have 5 minutes left. Let's make the optimum use of it.
No, if there are any questions, I will still stay back. I don't have any issue.
Okay. Thanks, Nikhil. Yeah. Nikhil, those are a lot of compliments that you're getting. So what? Okay, Amit asks which oil is good for cooking.
Sorry?
Amit is asking which oil is good for cooking.
So as I said, coconut oil, ghee and butter, they have higher smoking temperature. So you can use that, but still I will not recommend any frying. Always use very shallow flames and try to do water-based cooking, meaning you add ghee, butter or coconut oil and then add the spices. Don't roast them. Immediately add the vegetables and then add water and simmer them. So you can use these things for cooking, but don't use very high temperature.
That's great. Sure. All right. Nikhil, while everyone is on the session on chat here, I would like to ask you, do we have a list of your publications and other works which our folks can access handy?
So I'll just share my website address. A lot of it you can find it there.
I am already sharing your LinkedIn profile for the videos as well
You
as.
can get all the details on my LinkedIn profile. You can get my website address there. And in my website, there is something called Scientific Interactions. Okay.
Okay.
And in Scientific Interactions, there are a list of publications. Honestly speaking, there are very few out of all of them because I have not been able to find time to publish a lot of them.
Mhm.
So I will
Probably in
be.
future, any one of the sessions which you'd want to, probably we can always, you'll always find us as the audience.
Thank you so much, Mama. In fact, okay, there's one more question. What type of benefits taking oil pulling? So it's an excellent question, and I think that is one point which I missed out in when we are talking about immunity, because oil pulling is an excellent way to help immune system. Use coconut oil. What you basically do in oil pulling is take 2 spoons of coconut oil, keep it in your mouth, rinse your entire mouth, all the gums, your jaws, your teeth, your tongue, everything, and then after 2 minutes you spit it out. Okay, this is what we call as oil pulling. Coconut oil is highly antifungal in nature. Okay, so it will avoid any fungus infection, also bacterial infection in the mouth. Sometimes in some of my patients, I've seen that oil pulling has also helped them recover from gum cavities. Okay, so there are patients who had been advised to get the filling done. I requested them postpone it for about a week or two, and what we did was we asked her to take green tea with lemon, rinse it in the mouth and drink it, and after that do oil pulling, and it really worked excellently. Should we avoid
Great.
oil reuse? Yes, of course, definitely.
Um, I just thought I'll sum it up because I know we all will have more and more questions when we look at your audio, when we look at your video, or we remember any particular aspect, since this is all to do with all day-to-day life. So I've asked the folks to write to us at the email ID, PMITC email ID for some feedback or any other questions. Nikhil, one question that came to me was, can you share your presentation that you just
I'll share
showed
it
us?
with you, not a problem.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, that's your
So
answer. And
just
any
one
other
more
thing?
thing, Suma.
Uh-huh.
I run a
Yes.
lot of health groups, okay, on WhatsApp where we have an open discussion about health. Okay.
Mhm.
If anybody is interested, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn and I can add them to the health group.
Great. Thank you so much, Nikhil, for this wonderful session. And thank you guys for being there and participating in this discussion. I'm sure you have a lot of takeaways from this.
I'm hoping that too.
Yes, very much.
Thank
Thanks a lot.
you.
Nikil.
Venkat and Suma for inviting me and having me here. Delighted if reach out to me. If there are any opportunities in your organization, you
Sure. Thank you so much, guys, for ending the session.
thank you.
Saying something, Suma?
Venkat, you were saying something?
No. I'm just muted all because if I unmute, there is a lot of noise.
Okay,
It's
okay.
okay.
Sure. We are over time. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in, and we'll look forward to other wellness sessions soon. Bye bye.
So much.
Thanks everyone. Okay, bye.
Bye, all.